Hello everybody and welcome to Fight Grind Radio. This is your boy Bootsy. I'm here with a couple of guests today, and we may have Matt Horlick in today. He's being cryptic. I can't tell if he's going to show up. But today we're going to talk about the upcoming card for Tuff-N-Uff. And first we want to talk about something we got coming up that Sebastian is putting on. So Sebastian, you want to give us a little info about what you're doing this weekend?
Hey, how you doing? My name is Sebastian Buckley. Just fought in the last Tuff-N-Uff card. Planning on fighting again in January 24th as well. But I run my own charity organization called TNG Cares, and we're gonna throw a big charity event this Saturday night. Doors open at 7, starts at 8 at the Gold Spike Hotel and Casino.
Any admissions for that?
No, pretty much the only admission that we're charging is gonna be a new unwrapped Christmas toy, pretty much.
A high price.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, we're gonna have it's going to be a whole bunch of bands in the back. We're going to have a DJ running in the front, bar. Back in the back parking lot, they also have a ice skating rink, too, for the public. So
okay.
You come out, skate. We're going to take all those toys, and we're going to donate them the following Monday, I think, or 2 Mondays after, on the 23rd at a Boys and Girls Club. We're going to show up at a Boys and Girls Club and bring a fire truck and have the toys delivered to them as well.
Cool. Clearly, you're going to want as many people as you can get at that.
Yeah,
but what do you expect?
We want to pack the house. I mean, I did this last year as well. I went through a house party. I had 140-some people at my house. We raised over $6,800.
Okay.
We ended up donating those to a local school. I think 2 hospitals, a cancer ward, a couple different things. So hopefully we're gonna turn it up. We also part of a music team, TNG music group, so we're pretty big downtown right now. So we'll probably have like the downtown coordinators and everything like that down there as well. So it should be hoping a couple hundred people show up at least.
Now, how can people get in contact with TNG Cares if they can't make it to this?
Pretty much we have Facebook, TNG Cares. You can add me on Facebook personally, Sebastian Buckley, or you can email me at sebastianbuckley@gmail.com. Pretty easy.
That's a complicated email address. I hope people can remember it.
Just got to remember my name
and if you don't, if you don't know how to spell his name, just look up our last Tuff-N-Uff card and just look for the guy with the 1 and O next to his name now.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, you got your win last time. It was I wouldn't say an easy win. You still had to work hard to get it, but you were able to finish it in the first round.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we train hard. I train it with at Extreme Couture, and we train hard. So when you train hard, you hopefully go in the cage, and the fight sometimes goes a little bit easier than it's planned. But I came with a humble attitude, was excited, and got that victory.
You came with a humble attitude, but also like 100 fans just for you.
Yeah, it was fun. It was I think on the website we sold over like 100 some tickets, and then they sold out on there, so I think another additional 30, 40 people showed up to the Orleans to buy tickets. So it was fun. It was definitely an awesome feeling to walk out with all my friends and family and coworkers.
Well, and we got like we talked about right before we went on the air, and then you had the big mob coming up to the front of the cage to congratulate you.
Yeah, man, that was a lot of love. Like I got out of the cage and like my friends at first they all like run into the cage. I was like, bro, you gotta sit down. Like I'm trying to walk out, and they're all like running up to me like, hold on.
You almost had a Jose Aldo moment, just getting carried out there.
I don't know, man. They all run into, but it's a lot of love though. I mean, I really appreciated them a lot. I think I took more pictures in one night with people than anything.
Well, get a little taste of that stardom.
I know, man. Hopefully one day it turns into pictures and autographs, But,
yeah. You're gonna charge for those?
No, definitely not. Might charge some teddy bears or
Christmas
toy drives or something. I mean, everything's got to have a charity.
That's it. Is your nickname gonna be Good Guy Seabass? Is that what?
It might be. I mean, everybody calls me Seabass, but I technically don't have a fight name yet. So
right.
we're gonna figure that out.
I have a really hard time. I like giving people nicknames just because I can't remember people's regular names.
Yeah.
So I've tried though. I know that gyms like to give people their names, but it's really hard for me not to give out nicknames half the time.
Yeah, so we'll see what they call me on the next upcoming fight. It'll be fun. It's on the 24th, right?
Yeah, we're just going to talk about that.
My birthday's on the 26th, so we should have a nice little party celebration afterwards as well.
Yeah, we're going to have just hopefully not too many shenanigans, because if you had that much going on for a non-birthday fight, you have a birthday fight, it could get a little raucous.
Might get let's get 250 people up in there.
I just don't want them to
Let's see how fast how packed.
I just don't want to see them pull down the cage walls, because we got other people that need to fight.
You never know. What if I get beat up?
Yeah,
all my friends start jumping in the cage.
Exactly.
They already
things could get squirrely really fast. So we got
to up the security too. So
yeah, well, we'll find a way. I'm pretty big, so I'll probably just stand up there and people are like, whoa, look out. It's Bootsy. But yeah, so we have you pegged for the 24 show, which we have right now. And oh, by the way, fighters out there, don't go around saying that you have fights that you are 100% sure are going to happen. First of all, we're 6 weeks out. Second of all, I haven't put anything official down yet. I'm talking to everybody, making sure everybody has the fights they need or the fights that they want. But you got to talk to coaches, you got to talk to managers. So don't go around saying that it's a lock yet. For those who are out of town, I know that you guys need to get your tickets here, and you like to buy the tickets early, so you want to say it's a lock. But until Saturday, nothing's locked down. Things can change. And as Sebastian, I'm sure you were one of the few that didn't have too many changes in your fight, right?
No, definitely. I figured mine out, I think, 3 months prior. And either myself or, I had unfortunate injuries that I almost thought about pulling out, but I didn't.
Right.
But my opponent came ready, so we both came ready. So it was actually fortunate that it didn't happen.
Yeah, and that's, you were probably one of the only, I think there were 3 fights that didn't fall through somehow and then have to be restructured, and you were the only one out of those that didn't have a monumental injury involved in those 3. It was weird that, the last minute ones, people didn't get too hurt, even though they didn't have a full training camp. The 2 that have full training camps outside of yours had severe injuries.
Sometimes when people know they're about to fight for too much ahead of time, they want to kind of.
Yeah, it's a little bit of overtraining, I think. Well, and both
because you get excited because I know there for a little bit I was going so hard in the gym to where it's almost too much. You can almost definitely overtrain it as well. You just kind of got to find that happy medium, especially if you've never been in there before because you don't know what to expect.
Right.
I know mine, I didn't know what to expect, and I was actually surprisingly very calm and relaxed through my process. So.
Right. And both of the people who were injured, I mentioned before, were both correctionals officers. So I don't know if just that life. That's a tough. Definitely. You're doing full shifts and sometimes double shifts. It might just get in the way of fighting. Especially over that long haul when you're trying to train for 7 weeks and you're trying to do that full-time job with all the stress and.
So a lot of times with us amateur fighters, we, like you said, we have full-time jobs, we have lives and stuff, and. We don't make that big paycheck or anything, so it's not like we can't just dedicate everything.
I'm working on it, Sebastian. I'm trying to get that funding funneling through from somewhere, but I don't run a drug cartel or anything like that, so I don't have unlimited funds yet.
That's good.
I'm trying to at least get paid enough so I can just help people get into camps. There's a lot of guys out there that want to fight, but they really don't have a good training camp, or they're working in a garage. And then I don't feel comfortable even letting them fight most people.
Well, sometimes them too. If you want to be a fighter, you almost have to. If that's something you make your mind up with, you gotta put the money out there and get involved with the camp, and you gotta sacrifice. You gotta sacrifice to make it happen.
Right. Well, it's one of those catch-22s because you need to get that money to do the camp, but for some of these people, fighting's what they got, so that's where most of the money would be coming from. They might have part-time jobs or something, especially those kids going to school. I don't know how they do that.
Oh, yeah, but it's hard enough for me to hold my career and then go fight. I can imagine if I had to add school or kids on top of it.
Right. Well, and to be fair, though, you give yourself so many projects. You're like me, where you have 9 different irons in the fire at all times.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to have my fight career. I help with a music group, trying to run my own clothing line, got a charity organization, got my career.
You should probably call Jay-Z. He'll give you the map.
I'm going to do that.
I told you, you need a little less Jay-Z, a little more ODB. You got to chill out just a little bit more.
Sometimes I drive myself crazy, but I don't know. If my mind's not going with different projects, I feel like I'm not doing enough, so.
Right.
Sometimes.
I hear you. Well, we got the next fight set up for you, so now you can focus on everything else.
Definitely, yeah. I'm definitely going to go back, talk to my coaches, make sure all that gets approved and everything, and hopefully be good to go.
Well,
for my birthday.
you're one of the guys where when I say I got Sebastian for this guy, and they just go, yeah, no problem. That's it. Like, I honestly, I could tell them anyone that's not a pro, and they'd be like, sure.
Good people, man.
Yeah, they believe in me, and I really trust their judgment too. So
right. Although Dennis, I would like to be able to get a hold of Dennis sometimes, unless it is during the sparring sessions or the pro practice. I can't get a hold of Dennis. I can get a hold of Eric.
That man is busy. Him, Eric, and Folis is always in the gym too.
Right. They're
just constantly working on pros. They got a couple pro camps going on right now at the same time. So
yeah, I don't know if I ever see Folis without sweat running down his face. He's always working.
That's my boy right there, man. I love that guy. He's taught me a lot, and he definitely stays in the gym for in the morning. Like there's times like we'll end our jiu-jitsu class. It'll be 9 o'clock, and he'll be like, hey, I got a story to tell you guys. You guys mind staying for a little longer? And we're like, yeah. So
if you miss a Folis story, you're crazy. That's so much fun.
There's times that my training camp, I was so tired and certain things, and I would be training on something else. I would still, like, after I was done with my private lesson, I'd still go up there and listen to and catch his story at the last minute. Because, I mean, I've been training with him ever since he got into Vegas. He started at Excel, and that's where I was. And then he moved over to head one of the fight teams over at Extreme Couture. So I followed him over there because that's how I definitely believed in him, his coaching ability, and the team. And ever since I went to Extreme Couture, like they treated me like family and welcomed me. So it's been fun.
Right. And we should say we got another guest here. Now you're like the secret guest. You've just been hiding over there. So you want to intro yourself and tell everybody who you are?
Yeah, I'm Jon Watkins from CYN MMA.
That's
pretty much it.
Sin MMA. But what brings you in here?
We talk about judging. And
judging, the scourge of my existence.
Yes. Lovely, and
you went to the athletic commission. What was that? Public forum, essentially.
December 2nd.
Right.
Yeah, they had it open to everybody, and I guess 3 people showed up.
Yeah, that's how. I actually had that marked down, but I also have a job that takes forever, and so I've honestly, it was on my thing, and I went, I'm not gonna make it. I'm not good at the speaking so much. That's why I have a radio show.
Yeah,
because I'm terrible at speaking.
That makes sense.
No, I get too mad though when I talk about judging. I wouldn't be the guy sitting there explaining it well. I'd be like, you people are idiots.
Well,
and
it's
politicians, rough. And I can't stand you.
And I have to do the same thing. I have to balance it out as well. I can't be mouthy.
Right.
Or I'm afraid of action.
What was it you went in there? What was your agenda in there?
Listen, you don't have a radio show long enough for that agenda. There is so much that needs to happen in the sport.
Right.
So much.
What were some of your key points?
I mean, the main key point, I discussed this with Dennis as well. The main one is the judges. Right. They just need training with everything. We need people with MMA background to be judges.
Right.
Period. People that understand grappling.
Right.
I'll tell you one of the key things. I have all respect for the guys on the commission in the world. They were really nice and open. They listened to everything everyone said.
Right.
But they had no idea that there was a difference between jiu-jitsu and wrestling. I mean, openly said that to me in the commission.
Yeah, that's always... Sometimes I wonder if they do that. You do it sometimes in debates where you act like you don't know stuff to hear someone's explanation of it.
Maybe.
But I would hope that's...
Openly, it still looks horrible if you're saying that.
If
you're saying it in an open forum with people there, it makes you look incompetent.
Well, I'm just always going to assume they're being Socratic because that makes them seem smarter than they probably are.
Well,
but yeah, that's bad if they don't know jiu-jitsu versus wrestling.
They didn't even know the point systems were different between the two sports and why something should be changed in the way of scoring grappling. You can't...
Right.
I've discussed this with many people. I've discussed it with you before.
Yeah, well, we've discussed it, but now people listening to this don't know what we've discussed. So that's, one of the things I talked about was the full guard problem that I have, where they treat full guard like it's a submissive position over someone who's on top of them.
Which actually isn't.
Yeah, which it can be true, but only after it's proven that the person on top has the advantage based on their skills
and what
actions. They do. Right. It has to be based on their willed actions. Because a guy, and I always go back, I feel bad always going back to Hoist Gracie, but he did have such atrocious stand-up that it's pretty easy to use.
He had a front kick.
Right, and that's, if you had him in stand-up and him in the guard, clearly the guard is his better position where he has more weapons.
Exactly.
It's not inherently true that just because he's standing, he is now somehow in a better position.
Right.
Where you could say that with mount versus guard, or mount versus ground, where if you're under someone's mount, that's all bad for you. You have to find a way out because you're certainly not throwing submissions.
You're not throwing your legs up and getting a triangle while you're mounted, right?
Right. Unless you're some crazy 7-foot guy against some 4-foot guy. I guess you could find a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's inherently a worse position than the previous two. And with the full guard, there's no way to prove just by the position itself that you're in a worse position.
To me, it's the same as standing. When you're standing, you don't know which guy
exactly.
is doing better until they land a strike or
it's
something.
It's a neutral position.
It's the same
Although,
thing.
did you go over with the commission the concept of significant strikes? Because it's always bugged me that I don't have a clear idea of what significant means to anybody.
Well, I did talk about that, but I didn't talk about it at great length. What I did say is there needs to be more transparency on what you consider significant, because we don't know.
Right.
Because we don't know. It's not laid out. We don't know what you consider significant. We don't know what
and
you're
that's
looking
one
for.
of the things I worry about with that is that certain people react different ways to the power of it. Like a submission submits you. Like that, know. I mean, unless there's guys like Benson Henderson, I guess, who get away with somehow not being submitted, even though they're being fully choked. Well, I've just seen him in some positions where I can't figure out why he's not.
Yeah, right.
But a submission works pretty universally. Well, that's a terrible statement. Pretty universally. Let's just say it's more. It's a better marker than a punch, which sometimes hits people off balance. Sometimes it connects to people and doesn't really put one guy out, but another guy just seems to go out cold. Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz is a great example of that punch can hit a lot of different people and they won't go out. Even Robbie Lawler, they would hit him 99 times and he wouldn't go out. It just happened to hit him the right way one time. And so I don't know if he hadn't been knocked out in that one, would they consider that significant? Because clearly we know it can knock somebody out now. So should that always be considered significant?
I know what I would consider significant. If you're playing in, and you've got kinetic linking from your rear foot and you're throwing a hard strike and it lands good and solid, to me that's significant. If you're like spastically windmilling and just throwing pitter-patter punches that are landing, that's not significant. I mean, they're strikes, but there's no real mass or power behind them.
Right. One of the things I always wanted them to say was the difference between if it makes you move or cause you to clam up defensively. That's a good example of something being significant. There's other reasons. Those aren't the only
That's
monikers.
A good point, though, because mentally it is
right.
significant.
If somebody hits you and you see the guy move away and shake his head or touch his nose, check if he's bleeding, there's something that happened there.
Correct.
If it's but at the same time you have problems with that too, because there's guys like BJ Penn who can get slammed in the face 50 times,
right?
And he never really reacts to it.
But that's why it's significant though, because it's different for different people. Everything's always going to be different, like you said. Benson is different for submissions. Certain people can take strikes well.
Right.
That's just the way it works. If it doesn't hurt BJ Penn to get hit like that, then obviously it wasn't that significant from the mental point of view. But like I said, if you judge it from was their foot planted, did they land with good solid mass behind their strike, that's still significant to me.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the things, and Sebastian, maybe you can speak to this just as a fighter, if this makes sense or not. From your standpoint, because this would affect you. It doesn't affect me no matter what they do outside of my general rage. But for you, it can actually make a difference in a fight. I always thought that they should at least try to incorporate the concept of whom you would rather be in a fight. I mean, you can look at it if you understand fighting. Now, clearly we're working with people who seem to not even understand fighting. So maybe this is faulty.
They understand boxing. Let's be fair.
They do. But usually when you watch a fight, you can look at two guys and say, I would rather be this guy over that guy, X over Y.
Yeah,
and I don't think you can make that the end-all, be-all of the judging, because sometimes they're too close, or one guy gets hit hard once and the other guy gets hit 50 times. I feel like usually, though, at the end of a fight, you can point to a guy and go, I definitely don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, because they'll be in guard for the whole time, get pounded with punches and elbows, and they'll be like, oh, still won the fight.
Yeah, exactly. And there's guys who, I see it a lot with submissions from the bottom, where there's a guy on top who's constantly, we saw it with the Hani Yahya fight, a couple of weeks ago, where he was against the Swedish or Finnish fighter, and the guy kept taking him down, and then Hani's a jiu-jitsu whiz, so he was constantly going for leg locks and arm locks and head locks from the bottom, and they gave the other guy the win, simply because he was on top.
Yeah.
Now, as a fighter, I would imagine, and especially someone like me who's been watching it for a long time, I know that the guy on top was always defending.
Yeah.
So he should be considered the guy that's losing at that point, right?
Yeah, and it's different if the guys on top was just raining down punches and the guy was just covering up and then kind of trying to shift from full guard to half guard, just kind of keep moving around.
Right.
But if he's actively trying to break his posture, push him up, break his posture, trying to sweep him, do those things, trying to attack him, put him in triangles and different, like, just working like his submission game, and the guy on top really wasn't striking that much, then no, I mean... the guy on the bottom is definitely the aggressor.
And it wouldn't fix everything to use this style. I've heard a lot of people talk about Pride style too, where you judge the entire fight as opposed to round, because there aren't 3 mini fights, it's one full fight.
Yeah.
I personally like the idea. As someone who has to actually get in there and punch, though, do you like the idea of the whole thing being judged so that there isn't this coasting concept?
Yeah. I mean, that'd probably be good. I mean, because it is a whole fight. I mean, regardless. So, I mean, if you, if you kind of mess up on one.
Right. Yeah, well,
it's still close, though.
Yeah.
Let's say you're a powerful guy, let's say like Wanderlei was back in Pride.
Mm-hmm.
You could coast until the end and then just have a blitz and then win the whole fight because you blitzed him at the very end.
Well, I don't know about that so much, because you're still, I get what you're saying, where if some guy could just wait till the last 2 minutes.
You can game plan it out that way.
You could, but I think that even in Japan what we saw is that you're judging the whole fight, not that the end is the most important, but just judging the entirety.
Right.
So you'd say if you had 10 minutes where you were beating a guy and he comes on strong, but you're still holding in the last 5, you still get the nod.
The idea, I love Pride. Let me get that out right away.
I think everybody loves Pride. I would hope so.
I love it. I'm a diehard Pride fan.
Right.
But I'm going to say, people talk about transparency and wanting to know what the criteria is for what's going on.
Right.
How do you say, I want the criteria for judging the whole fight? Well, I just thought the other guy was better. Well, what are the criteria for that?
Right.
Like, show me the criteria for that. It would be even worse, actually, than it is now.
Well, all I know is that I was less upset. I mean, I was lucky enough to be watching Pride since 2000, so I saw through. They had bad decisions sometimes.
Yeah, they did.
But I was less offended overall. Like, yeah, there were a couple fights that were really questionable. But I feel like that's going to happen anytime you have humans.
It is.
But it seems like with the UFC, every show there's at least one where I just can't figure it out. I have no idea how the judging worked, unless it's something obvious like there's clearly a wrestling judge and he just likes the takedown.
That's why we need this new committee with the commission.
Right.
That's why we need to go over and just overhaul everything. The rule set, it doesn't have to be major, but things need to be tweaked and overhauled completely. We need to know where the points are scored. They need to understand the grappling. Submission attempts. You were just talking about the submission attempts over and over and over, but because the other guy was on top, he won. Submission attempts should be looked at like punches that almost knocked out a guy.
Yeah, I've said that for a while. If they're starting to be cinched, not if you're just trying to set it up, but if you get those legs around the neck and it looks like something's going to happen and he finds a way out or dunks out of an armbar or something, it should at least count.
That's just like getting rocked with a strike.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And it should be scored that way.
Sure that.
Well, Sebastian, you would like that because I saw your guillotine.
Yeah, guillotine.
That should count. Even if you had gotten out of that should clearly count as something.
Should have pushed off him and started striking him, but
come on. You got to save stuff for later. You got to build up.
No, it was good. I felt comfortable there. So.
Yeah, well, for, what was that, about 52 seconds, something like that?
45.
Oh, okay. I knew you knew the number. But yeah, you got a lot more you can show, but I'm glad, kind of, because, you get all your fans there, you showed them what you can do, and now they got to come back to see more.
Because they're like, oh, man, we paid $50 for a front row ticket, and...
Well, they saw a bunch of other good fights through them.
$1 a second.
I was like, man, you ain't in there getting your face punched in. I was like, man, I was like, if I have an opportunity to finish, I'm going to do it. I was like, I'm the one that's got to be in pain for the next 3 days afterwards, while you guys over there just chilling.
Are you cool with the 2-minute rounds? I mean, if you had a choice, would you do 3?
I don't know.
Because I see, like, the people out of Utah, as much as they, because I've been researching them the last week, as much as they lack the talent because there aren't a lot of gyms up there, so there's a lot of guys that come in a little sloppy, but they make them do 3-minute rounds. Yeah. And, I mean, I know you understand the difference between 2 and 3 minutes when you're in a fight. It's a pretty big difference.
Especially if you're going super hard.
Right.
Like, I'm not the dance around type.
Right.
So I mean, if that's your game plan to kind of dance around and fill out somebody and just kind of do that, then of course you're gonna want 3 minutes because once you dance, you go out, shake hands, you dance around for a minute, you guys both strike each other, maybe take each other down, scramble, get back up, and 2 minutes is over. So you don't really have that much time, but if you want to dance around, then you're gonna want 3-minute rounds.
Right, I hear you. But
you're gonna explode with all your might,
Right. If you had a choice though on rounds, length and number, do you have a preference? I mean, I'm talking we're clearly not in a committee here to change the rounds, but if you could just choose what kind of fight you wanted.
Let's just go round 1.
Yeah?
Nah, I would say, longer. I mean, of course, 3-minute rounds is better. Anything you get closer to pro level as well. Because you
Right,
don't want
yeah.
when the jump
Oh,
is
for
so
sure,
far
for sure.
difference too.
Yeah.
That makes a big thing in your game.
Yeah, I like to see amateurs do 3 personally for that very reason.
Yeah.
But I worry about them going up to pros and then they got 5. And I even was talking about this when I was watching Invicta this weekend. I spend so much time watching the amateur MMA in Vegas, just the old clips and videos to scout people. And then when I watch Invicta where there's 5-minute rounds, I feel like it's going on forever.
Oh, right.
And that's just watching it.
It is going on forever.
Yeah, I mean, it takes
that's a long
You see the
fight,
5-minute
man.
rounds, yeah,
Especially
man.
too. I mean, that's a long fight for beginner, like people that just never done it before.
Right.
I mean, when you're a pro, I mean, you kind of learn how to like pace yourself and do things,
Yeah.
and breathe.
Well, there's a lot of people that don't actually participate in the sport. They're like, well, why wouldn't you just train for 5-minute rounds? I don't think they understand the difference once you're actually in there.
That's not, and it's a difference too, being in the gym and being in the cage in front of everybody too.
It's a
Yeah.
huge
That's why I didn't know what I didn't know what to expect of myself because I got a lot of rage.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of like passed up. I mean, I've been a street fighter for a long time, and
Right.
I thought I was just gonna go crazy. And I mean, surprisingly, I was very calm, like
Well, that's
completely calm. But
That's from good coaching.
yeah, exactly. Because I mean, I'm in the gym with straight pro athletes,
Right.
whooping on my face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that kind of helped out things a lot. But I mean, yeah. So you never know how the adrenaline dump.
Right. How'd you like the ballroom, by the way?
I liked it. It was close and up and personal. Like I enjoy going to the other ones. I've never fought at South
Point.
at the South Point, but like I think that walking out to that kind of stadium atmosphere is
Right.
kind of nice, and I do want to experience that one day.
Well, you'll get there.
But
It's-
the ballroom thing was kind of nice. It was nice. I mean, it was up close and personal. I mean,
Right.
all my friends could run right up to me. Like it was just kind of it was definitely personal.
Right. I dig the ballroom. I didn't think I would, but when I was there and actually experiencing it, I do like how it gets loud
Oh, it was
in
nice.
that tiny
It
space.
was nice and it was super loud. I remember when I was in the middle, I was like, wow.
Yeah. How did you? Did it feel like what you expected it to feel like when you walked out?
Yes and no. Well, one, that was not my walkout music. That got lost
Yeah.
in somewhere. I walked out to some Islander music. So at first I was like, do I need to walk out? But no, I mean, I thought I was going to get some love, definitely like a large crowd, but
Right.
360 all the way around, like just people yelling was pretty nice.
Yeah. I don't know what's
Did a-
going on with that music thing, but we're getting I guess that was the first time that DJ had been doing it, and then
Yeah.
there's a new guy coming in next
Yeah,
time.
I guess my CD got lost, so
Yeah, we got
that switched.
We gotta figure
I got
that
the
out.
CD back, so we're good.
Yeah, well, this next time, that last time was, making sure everything got put together because we were always playing catch up. This next one,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be on all that
I'll
crap.
be on it because I'm gonna have my friends at TNG Music Group make my own personalized songs. So
Yeah, we'll make sure it
So we'll
works
make
out
sure
this
we
time. We also had, Elmer figured his stuff out because he came out to the chicken dance. That was nice.
that was hilarious.
I
I almost
enjoyed
want to
that
come to
one.
the happy birthday dance. I want
Yeah,
to come
well,
out and just be like,
yeah, why
sing
not?
happy birthday the whole time. Everybody handing out party hats.
I feel like that's a disadvantage to your opponent. And now he's gonna feel bad if he punches you because it's your birthday.
No, he's gonna try to ruin my birthday. His house is like, I'm about to knock him out for his birthday.
So if you lost, then when you exit, we could play the "It's my party and I'll cry if I want to." So that'd be a good one.
He's gonna try to.
I'm not wishing a loss on you.
He's gonna
but-
try to get them 26 punches in.
Yeah, exactly.
Official. He's gonna try to.
Do you have to deal with that at Coutures? Do you have to get a little beat up on your birthday if you're in there?
I don't know.
Seems like I know Syndicate does it. I don't know if you guys do it.
I don't know. They probably won't beat me up too hard before my fight, but maybe the
That's
next
true.
when I come
See,
in,
you're getting away.
Yeah, I might get away with it.
Unfair.
So maybe my opponent will try to make
No,
it up for everybody.
I know what they'll do to you at Couture. They'll Shark Tank you.
Oh, that'd be fun. But see, his fight's coming up. They won't Shark Tank him.
Yeah, they will.
What's Shark Tank? I can't
Yeah.
swim.
Yeah, they Shark.
Literally a Shark Tank.
They Shark Tank Jermaine. They'll Shark Tank you plenty of times.
Where's the Shark Tank at? What are we talking about?
It's in that little cage.
They're just gonna go at you hard. It's gonna be like
Okay, I
shoot
get
the
you.
box
I
style.
get what you're saying.
It'll be 2-on-1.
I get what you're saying.
It's super fun though.
Dennis is laughing right now.
That's okay. He's a street fighter. He can handle it. That's what he grew up
Oh
on.
no, they'll put you in there with UFC guys.
I don't know.
Like
I'm already
Martin
in there
will be
with
in
them.
there.
That's
No,
what
he's
happened to
a-
your nose. That was Parlo, right?
Yeah, I took a knee.
Took a knee from Parlo. You should
Yeah.
honestly just get a cast of your nose and mount it on your wall. Because if Parlo kneed me, I'd be pretty happy.
Yeah, it was an accident.
Okay,
We were
got it.
training for his fight, Bellator, and he's definitely hard to take down. So I shot him super hard. He was middle combo.
Right. It's fair enough. But I say I would just be. I'm a fight nerd.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, hey, thanks for
He's a great
messing
guy.
up my
He
nose.
Oh, he is a great dude.
Yeah, he
really
seems
is.
like
Really.
I've only talked to him a couple times, but he's real humble, nice, but sure of himself. I
Oh
love
yeah, he's
talking
definitely
about his
confident. I
fight.
mean, that's how I think we all of our fighters.
I don't
should be
know
like
if
that. We
there's
should
a-
all be humble, but just confident. I mean, if you really want to come down to it, I mean, we'll show you what it is. But other than that, like, I'm not gonna boast about myself.
There aren't too many.
The guys are in there.
There aren't too many in-coachers that I could say don't seem confident. I mean,
Yeah, no,
but
I mean,
you would
we're
have
pretty-
to be with all those people in there.
And our coaches are confident like that too. I mean, their coaches are confident within themselves. I mean, nobody. I mean, I haven't had one bad experience in there where like people are just boasting about themselves and
Right.
this and that and just say like they're better. I mean, everybody seems to work really good together. And I mean, you talk to them and then you feel like, oh well, someone's gonna push the envelope, then we're gonna handle it and
Right.
give that person a green light and take off. But
Then you get Huron in there.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Just saying, Jay is the guy.
yeah.
Like that, he's
Yeah.
the only guy in there.
I watched
And that
him
is true.
crossing
That's the
him.
only one that they have mentioned. Just kind of.
Well, Baroni
No
gets
want none of that.
intense. Baroni's kind of.
But he's hardly in there.
Yeah, that's true. But when he's in there, you know it.
Yeah.
Baroni's, and he looks smaller than he used to, but man, he still has that rage. He's still the best ever.
The best
So,
ever.
that's
Peace
good.
in the streets, save rage for the cage, right?
right.
But yeah, that's all those guys there. I mean, because you have those guys that you're training with, does that just make going into the fight that much easier? Like you said,
Yeah,
I mean, you were
definitely.
calmer than you thought you'd be.
Yeah, and I mean, no disrespect to Excel or anything, but like, I was training there, and when I, they treated me great, but definitely now that I went over to Extreme Couture, it definitely like I found myself on the bottom a lot,
Right.
getting hand to, and then so whenever I did go into a grappling tournament, like I would be on top the whole time,
Right.
and then, I never even practiced on top because I've been on the bottom getting
Right.
my ass handed to me, but it definitely improved my game and made me a lot more comfortable. I learned so much being in there, getting what to do and what not to do.
Right.
And,
Well, I think we talked about that before. That when I back in the early aughts,
Yeah.
when I was training, and I always had guys that were 180, like at best. That was their lowest weight, and I'd be at 150 at my highest weight, and trying to throw them around versus when I actually fought.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's a guy my size.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, I can just throw you.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you find some pro athletes at 200 plus,
Right.
that's been doing this for years and years and years.
Right.
You start taking them down, and sometimes you can't, and then sometimes you're successful. But then when you find someone that has only been doing as long as you, same weight and everything like that, and it's like, oh,
Right.
made this guy fly.
Who's your favorite guy to spar with? I mean, as far as like he pushes you, but you're learning something or getting something done. If you can pick one.
I mean, all of the guys definitely helped me out a lot, but Parlo definitely was a big one that I got to train with a lot, and he
Right.
would while we're rolling or doing something, if I was doing something completely wrong, I mean, he would punch me in my face real quick, but then he'd punch a couple times on the side of my head.
Right,
Hey,
right.
don't do that. Or
And he fights at 185 or 170.
I think 185.
Because he's, no matter which one it is, he's thick. Like,
He's
you can
really-
tell the difference between a
yeah.
pro and an amateur when you go in there and see him walking
Yeah,
around
he's
versus you, because
real
you're
thick.
not small,
Yeah.
Sebastian, but still, compared to him,
Oh yeah,
he's just
big dude.
He's a
a
brick.
brick of
And
muscle.
then, and then Bristol as well. He helps me out a lot too when I'm in there.
Yeah.
So
He's
There's
another
a lot
guy
of
that's
guys in
big.
Couture that are
Oh, yeah.
different. Everywhere you go, like, so you would see like Dominic Tim,
Mhm.
him.
Oh yeah, I actually did.
He's doing bantamweight, yeah?
I did Taekwondo with him when we were little. Like, we were super
Oh, yeah?
young,
Yeah,
and he was a little kid, and then I saw him there. I'm like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "What have you done?" And he's like, "Oh, I wrestled. I did this. I did this." I was like, "Oh, I thought you were this kid from Taekwondo." He's like, "No, I did that too." And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
He's going to be
So
on the
yeah.
card as well for
Oh, yeah.
January
He's a
24th.
monster.
That's good.
You wouldn't think
Oh,
much
yeah, no,
about
definitely.
His jiu-jitsu,
Oh, yeah,
his
he's
ground
good.
game is
Oh, yeah.
ridiculous.
That's what I
saw
keep
him
hearing.
roll with Evan Dunham.
Yeah.
I saw him just flipping Evan Dunham around, and he's
Yeah.
this little guy, man.
Like, we got him going up against Victor Maben, hopefully, for January 24th. So Victor's one of those guys that he fought Ralph Pacheco last time. I think it was the fight after yours, after intermission.
Okay.
And Victor's one of those guys that he's one of my favorites where he doesn't say anything bad and he doesn't boast about himself. He just goes out there and he fights. And that's it, you
and
know.
honestly, that's the way it should be.
And in his fight, he got kicked in the face. He got out of like 5 submission attempts and just kept
Oh, wow.
working. And he lost a split, which I felt like it could have gone either way. I think that he might have lost it because of those submissions. I feel like amateur judges actually do a better job
They do a lot.
because most of them are newer, and that means they've been dealing with
they
MMA
understand
longer.
the concept, right?
Right.
They understand it. Yeah, they are better most of the time.
Yeah, as long as they're watching it. I actually yelled at a judge at one of our, I won't mention which show, but she was not looking at the cage during the fight. And the fight was
Yeah,
going
that's-
on,
that's
and it was
weird.
third round, so clearly it was going to go to decision, and I started yelling
Wow.
at her because I couldn't believe she was
Careers,
looking off
people.
into the distance.
Yeah.
It's weird, like, and I think it's because they get kind of, it's like politics that they get in there. You know, you can go and get your certificate or whatever, but then you got to know the right people to get the right gigs.
Yeah, definitely have to know.
But they also got to realize, I mean, they're dealing with our careers at that. Like, you know,
Well, and
what I
that's
mean?
what
They're dealing
worries
with,
me.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
dealing with my
Careers.
livelihood. I mean, I know, like, amateur wise, you know, records don't mean as much, but still, like,
Still
you know what I
matters,
mean?
right?
Yeah, like, I'm not trying to, like, get bummed out of a fight because some girl's playing on her Facebook or some guy's playing on his Facebook, you know?
Yeah.
Right. I'll tell you right now, the people I deal with, people say the amateur doesn't matter. It matters. I'm switching a guy to pro right now, and they're looking at his amateur record to decide what they're going to pay him for his show and win fees. So that matters. I mean, it might not stop you from getting somewhere, but it's going to change your pay rate. It's going to change how you're perceived.
Right.
So it matters. So people need to take it seriously.
Well, that's one of the things we're trying to do at Tuff-N-Uff, and I'm trying to do personally, is make these belts and belt progressions matter. Because right now they've been thrown around like it's Grappler's Quest, and nobody knows who has a belt or why they have the belt, and people fighting for it after 2 losses in a row. And that's, you know, sometimes that just happens because matchmaking, sometimes someone falls out, you got to throw someone in there. It's already been decided it was a title.
We had that issue with you guys.
Yeah, it happens. And that's what now is that we're starting a new year, which is great because this is the first one. We're going to start being able to lay out, like, who's the champ, who has it, if he's leaving, who are the next 2 that are going to be able to take it. Because it's, like you were saying, I want pro organizations to look at Tuff-N-Uff and go, that guy was good at Tuff-N-Uff, well, then we can use it.
Be a springboard, right.
Yeah, and that's how it should be. I mean, honestly, you guys put on a good enough show. And
the quality of the show is good enough,
so we just got to tweak some little things.
And it's one of those things is who's going to do it. I'm like you, Sebastian, so I'm like, I'll do it. What is it? I don't even know what it is that we're doing, but I'll fix it. We'll get it done.
Got to get some better medals.
Look, I love the support.
Yeah, I saw you talking about the medals with Jeff. You set that out. I don't know why. Honestly, I've never been a guy who cares about trinkets, so I don't really care about the medals. But I see what you're
but if you're gonna give them, you know.
Well, for all I know, they ordered them in 1994 when they started.
They probably got a box of 5,000. You know, because that was what it was back in the day. You know.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's how the style was. I mean, it was good whenever, you know, they
Although,
got
I do have to tell you, I'm pretty sure people are going to throw them when they're mad about their loss, no matter how expensive and nice they are.
No, I mean, yes and no, but you go to Grappler's Quest, people don't throw them.
No.
I mean, but for the majority, like, people, I like, especially, like, when, you know, when I've won my tournaments, I've always been on top, but I mean, I told this to my brother, he's like, well, you never lost it before, so you don't know. And I was like, yeah, but I've talked to a lot of people that are like, oh, I got another silver, but, you know, added to my collection, I'm waiting for that gold, and then, like, they're just presentable, you know, and people understand, like, you know, you go on Google and you Google Grappler's Quest, like all their pictures are all their medals, and people are taking pictures, and it's identifying.
Now, what is this Google you speak of? Is that a new like energy drink?
Yeah, you know, I think I just heard about it like last week. You know.
Yeah, it's kind of a new thing. I'm not a hipster, so I don't know these underground things. You got like Googles. And
I'm sorry,
you could have fooled me, man.
I'm sure you search your fighters a lot on Google.
Oh God, I spend so much time on Google and on mixed martial arts.
MixedMartialArts.com,
which has every single stat wrong ever you could imagine. Yeah. It's probably the worst place. I mean, I get that like people send in stuff, so it's not really their fault because they can't keep track of everything in the world. Yeah. But if you're gonna bill yourself as MixedMartialArts.com, maybe try a little. Maybe put a little effort in there.
Yeah, I think Jermaine was 3 people at one point.
Yeah, and they have like Sean Spangler who just fought for us at 44 years old, and they had him at 27, and they had him fighting in like 1996. And I was like, yeah.
Well, I love Sean, man. He's the man.
Oh, Sean is great.
Sean's an intense dude.
Right there.
He's great.
I like him.
He shaved his head for one of his friends. In that fight, he shaved his head. Because one of his really good friends' son is battling cancer right now.
Yeah.
So that was pretty honorable, you know. And we were talking backstage. I was like, man, I need to shave my head too. He's like, let's shave it. You know. So they're doing a toy drive fun, I think, at Drysdale this Saturday as well.
Oh, are they?
I think is it at Drysdale?
They're doing a toy drive. I don't know when exactly.
Yeah, I know it is this Friday. What? I mean this Saturday. My bad, because it's right before my event. It starts at 10. I'm pretty sure it's at Drysdale. All it is. You got a lot of top coaches there coaching a seminar. I know Robert Folos is coaching.
Okay, cool.
I think Drysdale is. I think he is as well. And all it is either bring a toy or I think it's like $10 of like canned goods or sweaters or something.
Well, so for all of you out there that will be hearing this, since we don't have the exact information on it, go on what was it, Google? Go on Google,
Goggles,
and then Goggles or something like that, goggles.com. And just look up Drysdale Toy Drive or something like that. I mean, if you don't know how to use Google at this point, I can't help you beyond that. So, but yeah, both of those sound good. But I like, Sean Spangler's one of those guys I really like. He came to me with like a week before the fight. He's like, hey, I want to fight. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, but I'm older. I don't know if like I need anything extra. We found out he needed like a doctor's note. And so we go through all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you got to have the doctor's note. And then you got to show up at the weigh-ins with the note. And he has to check out this and that and this. He goes, all right, well, do you need like a note from my mom or something?
Yeah.
Which I thought it would be great if he walked out with like an AARP card or something, like
Oh,
just on
man.
his shirt or something like that.
He walked out with a Batman mask.
Yeah, I know.
That was awesome.
See, I was in the Bootsy bunker at the time.
Yeah, he
listening-
walked out with his
listening
full
to some
gi,
music.
his black belt,
Yeah, I
and the
saw the
Batman
pictures
mask.
of that. Yeah, listen, he is the guy you do not want to draw his name in a fight. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You just don't.
That dude that picked up his fight, though, fought him on 1 day notice. Just came in. He was Cheyenne's boyfriend, and he was out from Florida, and Sean's guy didn't show up. And we went, I guess we're not going to do that fight. And this guy, Tony Murphy, just goes, how much does he weigh? I weigh about that much. I'll fight. And just steps up on the scale and takes the fight. And he took the fight to him, too. That first round, he was beating up Sean, but Sean had just, he stayed calm.
It's a matter of time. It's like a snake, man. He's going to get around you and get you. And when he does,
But I'll tell you what, I was in the Bootsy bunker, and I heard all the screaming. Bootsy bunker's just where I go into a back room, I turn down the lights, I listen to Sly and the Family Stone, and I don't get bothered by anybody. Because I don't know if you saw me, Sebastian, but I was running around the entire show. From 8 a.m. Until the show started, I was running around everywhere. I had to pick up a dude from the airport the day before. I had to pick up someone to get them to the fight because all of a sudden they couldn't make it. So I have my Bootsy bunker, and I hide in there. But I heard all the screaming when Sean fought, and so I ran out there, and I had come out right after it was over, and I thought Sean had lost because he got beat up in that first round. So he was holding his head. They were checking his eyes to make sure he didn't have a concussion. And the other, Tony, just walks by me. So I was like, oh, man, Sean lost. That's too bad because, he was really looking forward to fighting. Come to find out like an hour later when I go, yeah, it's too bad Sean lost.
Oh, no.
What are you talking about? He choked him out.
Right.
And so I looked like an idiot I like looking like an idiot.
That's what happens with grapplers sometimes.
I shouldn't have
They just
assumed.
have to wait.
Yeah, well, and I should have thought about it. Drysdale, come on, like even if he's getting beat up, if he has a chance to get
Have
a
you seen his
submission.
old stuff from Grappler's Quest?
Yeah, he's a
like
black belt in jiu-jitsu.
dominating heavyweight champions from the UFC.
And he still competes in Grappler's Quest.
Yeah, you just want to leave that guy alone.
But that's why both of those guys get props because Sean stepped up with a week, and then Tony just stepped up not knowing a thing about him.
That's
just,
crazy.
Just stepped up.
I was low key jealous of Sean because we were sitting at the weigh-ins and this man is eating sandwiches and
oh wow,
fruits.
wrong.
Like because he's like, I would easily weigh it. He's like, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm sitting there hungry, thirsty, mostly thirsty.
Yeah.
And this man is over there.
Well, that's the beauty of taking a fight on week's notice. Maybe you don't have enough time to prepare, but as long as you're in shape, you can pretty much eat what you want because you're fighting at that weight.
Oh yeah.
So you're not worrying about a drop.
Yeah.
Oh, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about with judging was one of the concepts I keep trying to push is that they should have post-fight press conferences for judges where they have to explain their judgments. Because I feel like that would at least, it's going to be really hard for you to make a really crap decision like a CJ Ross with the Pacquiao fight or with the Mayweather fight if you know you have to go out and explain yourself afterwards. I feel like that would make at least a marginal enough of a difference where it would change some minds.
Well, this is yeah. I have an opinion about this, but I'm not sure if I should really get into it.
Well, keep it low key.
Right.
Just keep it calm and super like Big Lebowski style.
Oh no. The problem is I don't want to offend anyone. The thing is,
was it going to be racist?
No,
it's about judges.
No, well, okay. Well, it could offend the commission, whom I actually like.
Then use it as a theoretical.
All right. So theoretically, I believe if you believe in the government, if you believe in your capitalist ways, then why do you have the commission locked down? They don't have to answer to anyone.
Right, I see what you're saying.
So why are they going to come out and give you any explanation when they don't have to? Their job is secure. They basically can do whatever they want.
But I think that's what I'm getting at is that there should be some way where they have to be held accountable.
But why would they do that? There's no incentive.
Oh, I'm not saying that they'd want to. I'm saying that there has to be some decree from on high.
So I guess my opinion is I would rather it be a third-party company that actually does the job.
Right. Yeah, on that. But see, this becomes the whole. We could have a capitalist argument here about do you trust business or do you trust government? I trust neither. So I trust Sebastian pretty much.
I agree with you.
I got him.
No, I agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, what I'm saying is you would do it on the principles that if you were the third-party company doing the judging, you would have to be transparent in everything that you did.
Right.
You would have to come out and do the press conference. You would have to show why you did what you did, and you would have to be accountable for your actions.
Right, I hear what you're saying. And I think it makes sense. My number one thing is just I hate judging. Like, it seems like you do too. We could probably just sit here and yell for like a good hour.
Well, the thing, a lot of the guys, I've seen some bad stuff, like you said, judges not watching the fights.
Right.
At the UFC level, I've got video of one of the judges literally standing up and looking behind him while the fight's going on.
Well, this is the last time we'll hear from you then, because you're going
I'm
to be
not
in the desert at some point.
Listen, I'm not naming names. That's what I'm saying. So, at
Well,
the
you
same
know what
time,
I noticed too? A lot of people keep confusing the fact that the UFC is not involved with these judges. They don't get to choose. And so a lot of people like to demonize the UFC for what terrible judging is going on. And they're not, I don't think they understand it's the commission, which is a state entity. And so if you're going to be mad at someone, you got to be mad at government, which you would think in this day and age, a lot of people are mad at government anyways. They should be all on board for changing this. They're mad at everything else.
The UFC does take some responsibility, though, in the fact that I was there. And it's people don't understand. This is why people needed to show up at that meeting. Because it's rare to get in those doors and see that meeting.
So they open for the public and only 3 people showed up?
Only 3 people
what time
basically
of day
from
did
the
they hold
public.
it?
It was 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I mean, if people...
If you care about the sport,
people
you're
want
going to
things
show
to change,
up.
but nobody...
But no one showed up.
Well, I know I sent in my practical advancement thesis, and they were like, hey, thanks for your time, and we'll get back to it. And like, nothing.
Well,
got
talking
thrown on a
about
pile.
that, that's the thing. I was sitting there listening to this, and the UFC representatives were up there, and the commission is taking papers from them. They're sending in papers with advice, and the commission takes it, and they work with it. So the UFC could be more proactive in the situation because the commission takes what they say very seriously. I mean, I was sitting there, I watched it, I heard what they asked for. They asked for papers to be sent in. They asked for things from the UFC.
Right.
So the UFC needs to take a more proactive stance.
Here's one thing I don't get, though, and I know that people in the commission are really busy. I mean, that's a full-time job. They're not just sitting around waiting for these meetings to happen. They got plenty of other things to do. But you'd think they'd be a little proactive on going out and finding out about this stuff first, you know? You have people come in and explain things, but why don't you go online and first look at the ABC rules that the 10-point must system's under, which you'll immediately notice it's under boxing.
Right.
So we should talk about that.
Well, the commission's
trying to talk about MMA.
address is boxing.nevada.gov.
So it just seems like you take the time because it only takes about 3 minutes of reading the MMA rules where you go, this is really vague. Like, I'm not sure how I would judge this.
Right.
Like, how am I supposed to apply this in any practical way? When it's things about marginally winning a round versus what's the terminology they use? It's marginally, dominantly, and then completely. I have no idea what dominant versus where's the line on dominant and marginal.
Dominant is completely, to me, like those two are the same wordings to me. So
yeah, it becomes difficult, and that's the problem. And that's why I worry about when people want the half-point must system, where you have the 9.5 and the 9.
I brought that up. They were not keen on that at all.
You know what? I'm not either, and only because I spent a lot of time in philosophy. And the more you try to add extra little rules, the more confused,
the more convoluted it gets. Yeah.
And even though you think you're making it clearer, you're not. It's not helping. And usually when you go back to basic logic, like what we talked about with full guard, where you get rid of some of those rules, just go, is it dominant or not? No, it's neutral. That's it. So now we don't talk about it until somebody does something.
And that's clear and easy, and it takes less time. People also forget the judges are sitting there, and it takes time for them to start adding all this stuff up as they're watching a fight, and other things are happening while they're trying to add all this stuff.
Yeah, I wish they would stop trying to add things. I feel, maybe it's just because I've been watching it for so long, but I feel like you can look at a round and with pretty strong margin, at least better than what we have now, be able to rightly say who won or lost.
Well, let's look at it like this, too. You know, in boxing, you have a large amount of rounds.
Right.
Over a large amount of time. And we have the same amount of judges in MMA that they have in boxing, but we have way shorter amount of time.
Right.
So what if you just added 2 more judges?
I worry about that one, too. Adding 2 idiots to an idiot pool doesn't make it any better.
Well, it's not fair to call them idiots, though.
That's me editorializing. That is not the expressed feelings or opinions of the Las Vegas Tribune or of Fight Grind.
But if you added those 2 extra guys, some of the decisions that have come down would be different.
Maybe. Or maybe you just have another person that may or may not have been paid off to may or may not make a bad decision.
We're not going to talk about payoffs.
I'm just saying
that one alone.
It's a little weird when I got so many bad decisions.
But we could talk about how bad they are, but what do you think about the Bigfoot Hunt fight?
That one I was honestly okay with.
Exactly.
As far as a majority
They did
draw.
good.
Yeah, that was Australia. Those Aussies know what they're doing. I like them. No, that was a good one, and finally they did a draw where a draw needed to happen. The only thing I didn't like about it was that ref came in and stopped the fight for a couple minutes with that cut. And that's reffing. Reffing is so much harder to me than judging.
It is.
We have to make those split-second decisions.
Yeah.
It can start or stop a fight.
And when you're
randomly.
wrong, it's like the whole
Yeah,
universe crashes
and
on
you're
you.
right on you.
And you're
Yeah,
personally, yeah.
If you call something too early, it's
Right.
bad. If you call something too late, you just got to do.
Well, and the
almost
worst part
killed.
is that their whole job is to take care of fighters, and then when
When
they
we
jump
do
in a
take
little
care-
too soon, they're like, "You've just ruined my
Scolded
life."
for it.
Just ruined my
life.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Hurry
a
up and fight
really
next
hard
week
job.
because you just ruined it. I
Yeah.
tap.
Yeah, that's judging is definitely easier, at least to me. I would think it's much easier to do than reffing. But that was the judging at that show. Although I did do the Paroche versus Bader fight, I thought there were 10-8 rounds.
Yeah,
At least 2 of them.
I also thought that fight went on a little. Like I'm not sure they should have let it go on.
Maybe
at certain
not.
points.
Well, and that's a whole other discussion. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to know. And again, that goes back to individual men, where some guys can do it and take it, and they can be rocked and come back. Other guys, I feel like you should do your research on who your people are. When Chuck Liddell gets hit nowadays and he goes down, fight's over.
Right,
That's
right.
it. But if it happens to Dan Henderson, let it go. He's
Right.
never been knocked out before,
Yeah,
so
he
let's
doesn't have
see
that
what
much
happens.
damage accumulated. Yeah, and he could probably handle it. At the same time, that poor guy, Feroce, was getting
He was getting
beat
hurt.
up.
Yeah.
I mean, hurt, and that could last for the rest of his life. Some of the injuries he might have taken in
Well,
that fight.
we're seeing with Hunt and Bigfoot, that's already apparently going to last for a while because Bigfoot Hunt had the fractured hand. He dislocated his thumb, fractured his hand, which is why he was throwing the elbows. His jaw apparently is broken, or something on his face is broken,
Right.
and then his hip might be fractured. So that's all just from that, 25 minutes.
Training like crazy.
That fight, though, I got to admit, I've started laughing I was giddy, like a kid who got a new toy, because it was so awesome how
was an
much
awesome
they
fight.
were taking punishment. Like, I know some people say it's barbaric, but those are just two men. They're like, they should be fighting. That's what they should be
That's
doing.
what they do. Yeah.
Because if
Well,
you
yeah,
can
that's what-
handle that battle, that's just,
Yeah.
let's give them a battle axe. Let's start the old-timey
Well,
medieval wars.
I thought the
because I
Bader
wanna see
fight
it.
was more barbaric than.
Yeah, I felt
the
that was
Hunt
more
and Bigfoot
barbaric
fight.
for sure. Because those two men just wanted to fight. Like, that's what they
And
would
they were
not lose.
They were contesting each other, which is why it was a draw. And Feroce was not contesting nobody. Like
Right.
the only thing he was beating up was the ground under him, laying on
Right.
it. That's it.
Well, there is a difference, though. When you have a wrestler, he can make it look like, the difference between that and two men standing and just punching back and forth.
Right.
There is some difference there. Bader can make it look really bad when he's beating you up.
I'd rather a car
We've seen
hit me.
wrestlers do that to people before.
I'd rather a car hit me than have Vader on top of me hit me like that.
I don't know that I want either of those.
Well,
I'm going to avoid both
If
of
I
them.
had to choose,
Okay.
I would pick a car over
We should do that sometime.
Well-
Let's set that up. See, this is why I need money, because I don't want to, I'm not buying fancy things, but I want to do, car wreck versus Bader beating. Which do you want? That'd be fun.
No, I would rather have the car wreck.
Yeah,
Sorry.
maybe. Would you
I
take
would.
a kick from, Overeem? You take just one good
One?
knee to the stomach, yeah?
Yeah, it would probably kill me, but yeah.
Yeah, it's almost certain that it
He
would
won't
take
be-
out some
he won't
ribs.
be eating
We've
that
had this
for a long
discussion
time.
before at Couture's, actually. Yeah.
About Overeem?
Oh, no, not about Overeem. Who do you think it's about at Couture's?
Oh, I don't know. People. Dead air.
Cepho.
Oh, Cepho, yeah, that's no bueno. His leg is as big as my
Yeah,
midsection.
you don't want none of that. We've had that discussion. Would you take a kick from Cepho?
Have you been able to spar with Cepho at all? Do any mitts with him or anything? Do it.
No, I mean he trains.
do it.
He
You trying to
teaches
hurt
a lot
him?
of the classes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm.
No,
I'm
I
in
mean
there next
even
to
if
him,
it's
but-
holding mitts. Just because to have that, man, I would love to just do 3 minutes.
But
with
he
that
doesn't
guy
do
just holding
anything
mitts.
half-assed.
Oh, I know. That's why I like it.
I don't think anybody in that gym does anything half.
Yeah, I don't know that I've
Yeah,
ever
man, they
seen
go-
someone
They
half-assing
go
it.
hard.
I've seen you guys do it. What's that class you're doing where you have to stand up and run? Is that just fitness class or is that a plyometrics?
Yeah, it's a conditioning class.
Yeah, that looks not fun. That's the one I'd avoid. I'd rather go get kicked by somebody.
Yeah, sometimes I'm in there running, doing ladders, lifting things. I'm like, I'd rather just go get punched right now.
Yeah, just go old school and every day's fight day. It's not none of
That's
this
how it is,
extra
and
crap.
And that's how I broke my nose.
That's true. Well, that was such an unfortunate one, and what's weird to me is that other people have broken their noses and they back out 5 weeks out in the fight, and you had it about 4 weeks out,
I think it's 3.
3 weeks out, and you came in and you still handled your business. That's why I like Couture guys though. Couture and Syndicate as much.
Yeah,
as
we just alternated my training camp. I just did mostly conditioning, pad
Right.
work, and couldn't breathe.
Yeah, which is important by the way for fighting.
Very,
You
very
do want to
important.
breathe.
Like at first, because I lost so much weight and I was very conditioned, and then I went back to feeling my lungs were on fire, like I wasn't in condition anymore. And I'm like, dude, I'm in condition. I almost got a 6-pack first time in my life. Like I know I got conditioning was decent, and good, and I felt like back when my lungs were burning again from day one, I was like, oh my god, I was like, no.
Well, that's why I keep telling people,
worst thing ever.
I like you. I know that there's the rivalry, but Couture and Syndicate are my 2 favorite gyms as far as being a matchmaker.
Yeah.
Because you guys are just like, when's the fight? That's the first question. It's not who am I fighting or I don't know if I should. It's when is it? Let's do it.
Yeah, because honestly, I mean, we're going full sparring and full stuff. I mean, day in, day out sometimes.
I'm trying to see who we have on the card because I know we got you. You're in there as long as your nose stays put together. Don't Michael Jackson it or anything. We got Dominic Tim, who I keep hearing from everyone, he's scary. And I've watched him spar. He's good.
Nicest kid in the world, but he is a monster.
He's a good example of a non-couture personality, though. Most couture guys are really strong and assured, and he's real. You would think that he's meek.
He looks
if
meek,
you didn't watch him do stuff. Like when I first saw him in there, I thought he was a new kid coming in.
Yeah, I know.
Just because he almost looked scared of the place.
Yeah.
As soon as he started striking, I was like, oh, never mind.
No,
yeah, that's.
He's definitely confident.
And he'll never say anything about it either. He won't be like, I'm this fighter guy. No, never from him.
So and we got Clint Treadway. He's gonna be fighting for the 155 belt. I like that kid. He's always in there in the mornings.
Oh yeah, out of Couture.
Yeah. And then,
that's
you. Oh, you have many guys.
Javi's on there.
We got Javier.
That's awesome.
Guzman. Yeah, well, this one's pretty much Couture versus the world. Like, we've set it up.
We're gonna stand it out. We gotta get all of us in here at one time.
No, that sounds terrible. You guys are just gonna start sparring in here. You guys can't be that close together without especially if we get Justin Janes in here and somebody, they'll start messing with people.
That's funny.
But
that's tight. That's
we got you, Dominic Tim, Clint Treadway. We have
Carrie?
Javier Guzman, Carrie. I can't ever say her last name. Lenchenwellner.
Yeah, I think
Michael Hobby's supposed to show up, but we'll see if he can make it in time. And Joshua Grievous used to be with you guys, but now he's at Syndicate. And then Montel Williams, as we talked about before. I really want to get him to fight Tom Cruise just because I want to put it on a poster. Montel Williams versus Tom Cruise.
That's messed up, man.
But we know who he's gonna fight.
Yeah, he's got your old boy. Fabio,
my last opponent,
out from Alpha. Although to be fair, we really didn't get to see Fabio. You took him out of his game quick, so maybe he's got more.
And I appreciate. And then I told him at the weigh-ins, I was like, I appreciate you coming all the way down here. I was like, how long was the trip? He's like 7.5 hours. I was like, damn. I was like, I just rolled out of bed, cut my weight, have my brother drive in.
We have a lot of guys.
So like when people come out of town, that I have a lot of respect for people like that. And,
right.
Cut the weight, come in town. Because if I've going out of town, unless I was going to stay there for a week and have that. I mean, that would be easier. But like when you still have to work, when you have to work on Wednesday and you turn around, getting in the car, driving, and
he drove in the day of the weigh-ins, and then I don't know why, but apparently he didn't use the hotel room that we got for him.
That night?
He got his own place, and I was like, we got you a free room. What? And he's like, that was his answer. So I don't know what that was, but guys from out of town, and we're getting a bunch of them in for this next show. I'm doing everything I can to try to get people who have belts outside of Las Vegas to come in against, because Vegas just has that extra level. You got Coutures, you got Syndicate, you got Drysdale, you got Vandy's camp. I mean, it's a whole other level of training compared to most places.
It's almost an MMA capital of the world, pretty much.
Well, that's what they call it.
It is.
Starting to become,
It's definitely, at least of the U.S. I mean, you got places like AKA out on the West Coast. You do have Alpha Male, but they have a lot of guys that are newer in there and new affiliates. Florida has a lot of guys who want to be good fighters, but there aren't enough camps out there yet. This is the place that has established camps already. So one of the things I hope to be able to do is bring in people who have belts to fight some of you guys. Because I don't think it's unfair. I think they earn their belts, but it's just a lower tier. It's kind of like, Canadian football versus NFL. It's not like the guys in Canadian football ain't good. They're good at what they do.
Yeah.
But there's just another level because there's already an established hierarchy here of camps, and you know where to go if you need certain types of training. You know you're going to get it consistently. So hopefully we can get you guys going. But like I said, this next show, it's just Couture versus the world. Awesome. You guys are pretty much going to have your own little room.
A whole room.
We'll put you in the red corner, and then that'll just be you guys. Does that mean
we walk out second?
Oh, I don't know how that works.
How many Syndicate guys are you guys going up against?
Syndicate has 5 guys, but I think there's only 2 matchups.
So we're going to have we're going to try to reverse that whole smoker situation then.
Yeah, that's Couture's got to reverse that. That was Syndicate likes to brag about that smoker that
Oh
happened.
man, if we don't stop about that thing.
Yeah.
Oh my! I was on the sideline just looking and just upset. I mean,
Right.
no disrespect to anybody, but I mean, we had guys just coming out that just was like coming to watch and was like, okay, well, I'll go in there. You know,
Right.
I mean, I'll
Yeah,
go
they
in.
came in
I'll
ready to
step in.
fight.
Oh, yeah, they definitely in MMA, and all respect to them because I mean, honestly, when you're gonna go like they don't know what to expect. You know,
Right.
they're going into our house. You know, like coming in and about to scrap. You know, so they brought all their people and we were just kind of I mean, don't get me wrong. I think we were just a little lax.
Everyone was
Maybe.
really.
Well, I
I
saw
don't want to speak
people
out of turn, but
there.
I just kind of like on the sideline. I just kind of like, oh, we're a little relaxed.
Yeah.
And two, we didn't really have a lot of our amateur team or even.
Yeah, that's what I was
gonna say,
We didn't have. I don't think.
The pro-am team wasn't there at all.
I think we had one. No, there was like 3. You know that train with us regularly.
Right. Yeah, and that's
You
what
know,
I
but,
was
like,
gonna
think
say is
then
I
all the
saw
rest of
people
it-
where I said I've never even seen this guy train here,
Yeah.
but I guess he's.
I was there, and
Couture.
I've been training there solidly for the last like 2.5 months, and I was like, I've never even seen that guy
Yeah,
in the gym. Like,
exactly.
he's never been in one class with me.
Right.
Like.
So now you guys just got to get your retribution. Although I know at some point I'm gonna work hard on getting a Syndicate versus Couture card.
Yeah.
Where we get it, it's just gonna be a fun show for everybody because everyone's gonna have the bragging rights.
It's gonna be a fun show and add some security to it.
Yeah, we will need a little
He'll be
extra.
good out of-
MMA is different than
Yeah, yeah.
kickboxing with pads on. That's
Yeah.
I mean.
Oh
That's
yeah,
all I'm
definitely. And this is
saying.
another thing too. Like even like because I was even gonna like if it wasn't for I was so close to my fight, I was like, man, I want to go put gloves on. But then it's like, we train to fight in a sanctioned cage event. I mean, that's what we want to do. So
Right.
if you're coming in to spar with me in kickboxing, like I don't train with my guys like. I don't try to knock their head off,
Right.
I'm not going to try to knock your head off just because I'm in a ring with you in front of people, So,
Right.
I'm
You're trying to
my,
set things
my,
up and
my
stuff.
energy
Yeah.
level and everything's going to be completely different when I'm in the cage. I mean, it's just, and I think that's with a lot of fighters, we're just, okay, it's showtime,
Right.
It's if we're in a gym, kind of, it's a little bit different.
Well, we'll get it. We'll iron it all out with the show.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
all
over the
good.
summer we'll get
It's all good.
a full 7 fights between the
we're,
two camps.
we're all humbled over there. We're just, we know what we got.
Well, I have fun listening to everybody jib jab back and forth. I can't wait for Francis versus Guzman because those two hate each other. Well, I shouldn't say hate because that's such a strong word. They very much dislike each other and they have a history of disliking each other.
I can't wait till I get to fight someone in the cage that I very much dislike, and they dislike me, and it's just known. Because it was kind of odd, like, going in there to try to knock someone's
Right.
head off that I don't know at
Right.
all. Like,
Well, you know what you should
honestly,
do?
if somebody was talking, if someone talks shit to me, like, on Facebook or something like that, that's all that's going to do is just make me want to fight more. So that's,
Right.
like, not a smart trade to
Well,
have.
maybe
Like,
maybe
people talk a lot of
Goberman,
mess and-
maybe your new opponent. He seems like a pretty humble guy
Yeah.
though. So unfortunately, I don't think you're gonna get much of a tough.
Sometimes that backfires. Getting mad at somebody, you get over anxious
True
in the
that, true
cage,
that.
and you're not
Now he
thinking.
lives on it though. You
Yeah.
can see it.
Like,
Even when you talk about it.
it would definitely make me, like, I would have pushed off the cage and,
Right.
started throwing some fists instead of finishing it with a choke,
Well, we don't need you
I don't
scaring
know,
away.
man. I like the choke.
We already
I
had.
know,
you.
I liked it too. I mean, it was good. I mean, it's comfortable. I've done a lot of grappling matches. I mean, I love grappling. I got an awesome
I mean,
coach.
you forced a
Robert
man
Polis.
to quit.
Oh yeah, and I have no problem. I mean, the main end of the game is, I got work on Monday, and I'm trying to get my hand raised. I mean, so
Right,
if it's
right.
submitting you,
All I
I'm
ask-
gonna go back for what I've been training for the last 10 months has been grappling.
All I ask is that you don't break someone's foot off like Elmer did because
Oh,
that
man,
I
that's
can't
my
even.
boy too, because
I
that's
know.
my boy from Excel.
That was a
sucks.
bad one. Although he's been in good
Ooh.
spirits since
Oh
then.
yeah,
I'm
no,
glad to
definitely,
see.
definitely.
But
Yes.
I can't find Elmer a fight right now because that's what everybody
I was
knows.
gonna
It
say
was on
that.
Inside MMA. It was on MMA Junkie. So
No.
I tell people who they'd be fighting, and they go, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna be sick that week." So there's just nobody interested in it.
I don't know, man. If you're scared to fight other fighters,
Well,
You're
yeah,
not a fighter.
this is the thing about
not
amateur
fighter,
though.
like I can understand though. I understand like saying, hey, like I'm not, I'm new and amateur, and I'm 1-0, and I'm not gonna fight a guy that's 10-2. Like
Right.
I see those point of views,
Right.
But like when it comes down to just because someone's big and got tattoos and
Right.
comes out with funny songs and stuff, like
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking shit. I mean, he's a great fighter, but I mean, just don't be afraid. I mean, because that you're already setting yourself up for failure.
Right.
Like, you might as well just
I think
stop
it is.
calling yourself a fighter
Yeah, pack
and
it
just
up
say
and go.
that you're gonna have fun and just you're gonna do amateur fights every now and then. That's fine.
Right.
If you're gonna do that, but just tell people that. Don't be telling people, hey, I'm this crazy MMA fighter and stuff. And if
Right.
you're not even challenging the best people. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Well, I think the ducking Elmer, I think, has more to do with that they're just worried that he plays rough now. Which what happened wasn't rough.
You're in a
You
cage
gotta be
fight.
rough,
You're
yeah.
gonna be. I'm gonna try to knock off whose ever head that's in there with me because he's gonna do
Yeah.
the same
But
thing to
people,
me.
it goes back to people being worried about the records, and that's what we talk about. We've touched on that. people say that amateur matters or doesn't matter. What I say is that it matters to get your experience in.
Okay, but get
and
your experience,
to not get to know if you're
find...
going to get beat up or not.
But are you in this to
Some
be a
people
UFC
shouldn't
fighter, or are you in this to be just an
I
amateur
think some
fighter?
people honestly don't know.
Well, then, but
Yeah,
you got to
true.
make up that decision in your head. If you want to just be an
Yeah,
amateur
you do.
fighter, then just have fun with it. Go out jokingly, come out to stupid songs,
Yeah.
on Facebook. Be like, oh yeah, I'm training, I have fun. Like I enjoy.
Right.
Like I'll always do jiu-jitsu for the rest of my life, probably.
Yes.
Right.
Because I
Jiu-jitsu.
really love jiu-jitsu. It's awesome. It's fun. It's lax. Will I be always a cage fighter? I don't know, but I'm gonna make that decision. Either I'm gonna try my hardest to go to the
Right.
UFC, fight the hardest guy. I'd rather fight the hardest guy right now on amateur versus finding out that man, go have some guy push my
I hear
shit
you.
in.
Although, like
real
we said,
cage.
I don't think your coaches are pretty good about knowing what's tough but fair for you.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
they
definitely,
are.
definitely.
What's not.
And
that's
that's what it is.
also
It's definitely a
partially
fair
my
thing.
job.
But if I was like, if I went back to if I'm in my own head and I was like, hey coach, like just tell him no because I don't want to fight that guy, then I need to reevaluate myself and be like, okay, this sport isn't for me.
But again, this is why I like Couture Camp and the other camps I don't like so much.
They're gonna bring that out of you in practice. I mean,
Right.
like we're gonna, and that's where it should be. I mean,
You
a lot
go
of your
find out
tests
in the
should
Shark
be,
Tank.
Yep.
it should be right at practice.
Well, that's what I heard when
learn.
I was telling Justin James I need to start working out again because my shoulder's finally bare. He's like, come on into practice. I was like, no, I'm not ready for that part yet, Justin. I'm a guy who fought. I'm not a fighter right now.
Yeah.
Like, that's not who I am. So I'm not going to half-ass it, go in there, and make everyone else's time terrible.
A lot of people use that
'Cause
term
you're just
so
gonna-
loosely, a fighter. Like
Exactly.
I used to always like call myself I'm a street fighter because I
Right.
know there was a difference between street fighting and being in the cage. I used to people would be like, oh, you can fight in the street, but can't get in the cage. So I proved that wrong, got in the
Right.
cage and did it.
Well-
But like I still people would call me fighter. I'm like I'm not a fighter. Like I haven't even stepped in the cage yet. Like you
Right.
gotta as yourself, like you gotta humble yourself and distinct those two. Like,
See, and I
you know?
remember
Yeah.
if you've ever fought, if you've ever actually had a fight, even if it's amateur, even if you've been in like a good smoker, I'd say, where you've actually had to face someone and know that they're going to try to knock your head off.
Yeah,
And
a skilled person, not
Right.
just
Someone who's
anybody.
trained,
Because right
right.
now, like I'm more like just like if somebody tried to fight me at a bar and let's say like try to like attack my girlfriend or my
Right.
family, I'm not. The dude's gonna swing on me. I'm gonna slip it, take his back, and choke him out.
Exactly.
Like I'm not punching nobody.
Well, I
Like,
just
you
know
and
that
I
there's
think these
people who have fought definitely know the difference between when, like, I can feel the difference now when I'm like, I'd love to spar and blah, blah, blah. There's
Yeah.
a difference between that and when I was a fighter. And
Yeah.
when I was
Right.
like, that was my mode, was I'm going
yeah.
to spar today, I'm going to kick some ass, I'm going to get my ass kicked. Either
Well, I
way,
like your
I'm going to be
definition.
fighting.
Yeah.
I'm a guy who fought.
Yeah, I'm a guy
not
who
a guy
fought.
who fights.
Oh yeah, no,
Right,
definitely.
exactly.
And I think people just use
Not a
that term
fighter.
so loosely, and it kind of aggravates me. I'm just kind of like, okay, well, come to our camp.
Yeah.
Come over here. Let's
Oh, yeah,
train
if you
with
go
us.
to Couture's, you'll find out if you're a fighter or not, that's
Yeah.
for sure. It's going to be real quick, too. But we got to sign off here. We've been going a little long. So, let's rep your thing one more time.
So it'd be at the Gold Spike this Saturday at 7. Doors open at 7, about 8 o'clock. Just bring a toy in, come have fun. Be bar, everything's going to be a good time. Then also at Drysdale, they're doing a seminar for, I think it's jiu-jitsu, and I think a little bit MMA training, but mostly jiu-jitsu. And I think that starts at 10 at Drysdale, and a lot of coaches, and you just bring something in there and then go.
And any sponsors that you want to do? Maybe your LV?
Pretty much just legalize violence. My whole thing is, I've fought in the streets a lot, so my new thing is, keep the peace in the streets, save your rage for the cage. If you're an angry person, that's fine. Just, let's start doing it in a legal way, and
Right.
keeping it out in
And
public.
stay away from Baroni when you start out,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
I don't care how much rage you have, that guy's going to put a hurt on you. And do you have any things you want to rep before we go, other than your Sin MMA?
Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, man. Right. Helios Oneka.
All right, and this has been Fight Grind Radio on Las Vegas Tribune Radio. This was your boy Bootsy, and we will see you on Friday.